Hey, welcome to Scooby-Topia. I said in the Camp Scare video that I don't want to do too many videos on just solo movies because it might get old and repetitive, but there are two that get requested or brought up so much that I think the only option is just to get them out of the way. The first I was going to do, I started planning in early January. I had everything ready to start writing, but then too many other YouTubers talked about it out of nowhere after I sat on it too long, and I had to postpone it so it didn't seem like I was copying anyone. Same thing happened with covering Scooby Natural in 2022. It'll happen one day. Instead, we're skipping ahead in the DTV movies for the other, even more requested movie. Released August 20th, 2013, the 20th overall DTV movie, Scooby-Doo Stage Fright was the last of the movies that I personally watched when these were coming out originally before I just stopped. I didn't even initially pick this one up on Blu-ray like I did the others. I really liked the first 6 movies of this soft reboot. I even liked this one, but I was 16, almost 17, and while still really into animation, just got distracted with other things. I still have not seen the WWE wrestling movies that came after this. I know that's shocking to hear. I've seen everything from Shaggy's Showdown forward though. Regardless, much as I love them, it was right after this that I really fell out of Scooby-Doo as far as the movies went, and I wasn't really involved with Be Cool when it aired for similar reasons, so I did rejoin for Guess Who. I'd be really interested to hear if anyone had similar experiences of this just being a weird time of falling out of heavy involvement in the Scooby fandom, especially when I was so heavily and deeply entrenched in the fandom for Mystery Incorporated or Music of the Vampire even. Y'all want a Music of the Vampire video someday? Me too. Because I fell out after these, I also haven't rewatched this movie in full since release, so I'm very excited to see how it holds up with the amount of people asking for it, because there are a lot of people asking for it, and seeing how it pulls from things like the novel The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, and its adaptations from film to Broadway, which glancing at Wikipedia, DVD Verdict called it an unoriginal ripoff of apparently, even though it's pretty normal for Scooby to do takes on classic stories. The American Idol America's Got Talent type show inspiration is pretty exciting to look forward to as well. I remember that being fun amidst the heavy Fred and Daphne content we were being fed so heavily during this time. With that being said, let's have a good time and take a look at Scooby-Doo Stage Fright. The movie opens at our equivalent of Phantom's Paris Opera House, here the Chicago Opera House, hosting the show Talent Star. Our Phantom for the movie is watching from above, eventually causing a huge chunk of the set piece to fall as the lights go out and he ominously laughs, jumping from above and grabbing the director's clipboard. And the design here, while kept in the shadows, genuinely is quite creepy and well done. Meanwhile, Shaggy is driving the gang there for once, as Fred is busy practicing with Daphne, the two of them being finalists on the show.
Have I mentioned it's my favorite show?
Once or twice.
In this breath.
Fred plays an original song for everyone, which really gets Daph going.
I really like you. I like it. Not you. I mean, I like you, but I like your song?
Thelma, meanwhile, is excited for all the other sights, like the soap diamond on display, a reference to the Hope Diamond. In her book, though, she finds the opera house has been closed since the 70s, is 100 years old, and rumored to be haunted. So just another day for the gang. Same as Scooby taking over driving, nothing to see here. I've covered like 2 other movies where he's done it now. Like a lot of the movies of this era, we get a fun stylized opening credit scene, and I really like the song On the Case. Genuinely, it's a great song. I need it on Spotify. The gang arrive, but the boys are turned away as dogs aren't allowed, so we get to have that as a running joke the rest of the movie. The trio meet with the assistant director, Dewey, who's still recovering from his fright. One of the workers finding the clipboard and quitting, looking around suspiciously. The Phantom has decided Christine must win Talent Star or else. Another direct grab from the Phantom novel, where the Phantom there wants Christine to have the position of prima donna, all the lead roles such as Marguerite in Faust, nobody else. Shaggy, on the other side, uses a clever joke to get inside. We then meet Christine, aka Chrissy, voiced by Ariel Winter. You might know her from Modern Family, Carrie Kelly in The Dark Knight Returns, released the same year, or maybe even Sophia the First herself. We then meet violinist Emma, who actually shares a voice with Mary Ann Learden from Mystery Incorporated. Brick Pimiento, host of the show, finally makes his entrance next, voiced by none other than Wayne Brady. The boys are excited to try and talk him into letting them join, while the smell of Scooby finally awakens the assistant director who hates dogs because of their germs. Unfortunately, everyone is interrupted by a scream as they run to the cameras, catching the Phantom all over the place, even running into the boys.
Ooh, should we use it for promos or leak it to Hutu? Both.
Fred and Daph look around while they're almost killed by some weapons being pushed over, while Scooby smells lemons just as the Phantom reappears.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to.
Thelma is forced to question if this really is a ghost as he vanishes on camera.
A ghost who smells like lemons? That sounds kind of weird.
And it's not weird to have a ghost who doesn't smell like lemons?
The gang is kicked out for their Jeremy dog, so Velma decides she'll get to the hotel and look online, sends the boys to do library research, while Fred looks inside.
Daphne, you come with...
Yes! I'm going with Fred!
Velma runs into Chrissy, who says her earlier scream was happy as the Phantom told her she would win. Then meeting the great Paul Dini, voiced by John O'Hurley, who's not only a play on Harry Houdini, but also, well, Paul Dini, a frequent Scooby-Doo writer so obsessed with the DC Comics magician Zatanna that he practically married her. I have to mention that myself every time he comes up before there are 50 comments trying to tell me. I know. Next up is ventriloquist Waldo and the formerly country band Grillosaurus Rex. Back at the Opera House, Daphne wonders why they always run into ghosts, and Fred surmises it must happen to everyone. It's too big of a coincidence otherwise. Down there, they meet Mel, owner of the place, who thinks they make a cute couple.
We're not a cute couple. I mean, we're not a couple, so we can't be a cute one. Although we would be if we were, which we're not. I mean, it's not that we don't like each other. It's just we don't like each other. It's just not likely. Right, Fred? Or do we? We don't, right? Do we? Why are we talking about this so much? Can we just change the subject now, please? This is none of your business.
He tells them the story of 35 years ago in the 70s, where his dad turned the place into a disco, leading the Phantom to show up for the first time. People ended up thinking it was just a fun gimmick though, and showing up to see him until he got worse, ultimately dropping the giant disco ball. This is another of the most obvious ties to the original Phantom of the Opera novel, where a chandelier is dropped by the Phantom into the audience, killing someone, which was made even more iconic in the Broadway version where the chandelier is basically the big centerpiece. And of course, that chandelier has a real-life inspiration, inspired by the real-life Palais Garnier chandelier. The real thing didn't necessarily fall down in real life, weighing itself 7 tons. However, one of the counterweights in May of 1896 did break and crashed through the ceiling after a fire in the roof melted through a wire supporting it, an accident that injured many and killed 1 person, and Gaston Leroux copied one of the headlines about the incident verbatim in the Phantom novel, in addition to the rumors of a ghost haunting the Opera House. So while we have a harmless disco ball here in Scooby, it's not too far off from what actually was a real tragedy turned Broadway spectacle. Back to the gang, as if we don't have enough red herrings, Mel suspiciously says maybe he should burn the place down for the insurance money and laughs. Elsewhere,
Do you have anything bigger than an extra large?
You have to sign a release saying we're not responsible if you die.
the boys devour and then devour. Oh. We then meet singer Lotta, voiced by Vivica A. Fox, who you might already know from the Scoobyverse because she also voiced the pivotal Mystery Incorporated character Angel Dynamite, aka, well, spoiler. For some reason, she's got some Wolverine-ass claws going on and tells the boys to warn Fred and Daphne.
The library closed hours ago.
What?
Never mind.
Velma believes the current Phantom and the 70s one are different, the photos of this one being all over online from talent star milking it. They try and consider who the Phantom could be, but there's like 5,000 suspects this time, so easier to go to bed.
See you in the morning.
He said he'll see me.
Velma wakes up to Daphne missing, finding her getting some air, and finally admitting to being in love with Fred, to, nobody's surprise. For Fafney shippers, this is basically one of the most iconic scenes out there. She even wrote lyrics to the song Fred wrote earlier, deciding she'll have the confidence to tell him if they win the show. And sorry to disappoint, but these two don't switch clothes here like in that meme implying that they're totally doing the nasty. I wish it was real too. The Phantom meanwhile switches Lotta's throat spray, this being another direct tie to the original Phantom of the Opera, as Lotta is the equivalent to Carlotta in the novel, Christine's main competitor that the Phantom low-key kills to get her the big leading spot.
I can't sleep.
Yeah, me neither. You want the bed?
Unfortunately, the boys bump asses with the Phantom and get into another chase, but as he's about to chop them, Fred nabs him, and then he poofs away in smoke. And the boys notice there's no aroma of lemons, while Velma points out that this is very similar to a magician's trick, like, say, Paul Dini.
You sleep with a net, don't you?
Lots of people do.
It's finally the big day come morning, and Chrissy goes first. I bet you've seen this meme around.
Stay away from my man, home record. Nobody comes between me and my man. Stay away, or I'll call you.
And you know what? She kind of ate. Emma does pretty amazing too, her parents mentioning they'll lose everything if they don't win the prize money. Come time for Lotta, she sprays her throat, and when she tries to sing, she can't. The others keeping an eye out, it's time for Fafney's big show.
Our lives keep evolving through hope and despair. I can take all the changes, knowing you're there. It's enough for me.
Again, 8. The boys have to apologize for mistaking Brick for the Phantom, to which he has a very suspicious reaction. Paul Dini's turn is next, still no Phantom, followed by Waldo, who does get sabotaged with fire on his dummy as the Phantom declares Christine must win. She-Rex tries to perform, but all their instruments fall apart, sabotaged as the Phantom cackles out his warning again. Like Waldo, the girls quit, losing more contestants. Velma concludes Fafney, Emma, and Chrissy are the frontrunners left, which means the 3 unlucky enough to be not Chrissy are the remaining targets. Fafney announced very loudly that they're taking a nap on guard guarded to lure the Phantom out. And after waiting 50 billion hours, they realize he was hiding in the closet with the trio the whole time. Checking in there though, Fred finds it empty, a door he escaped into revealed. Following the hidden passage, they find themselves in the sewer under the Opera House, another tie to LaRue's original Phantom novel, as the OG Phantom famously also lived down in the sewer below. And like the chandelier, this is another thing pulled out of reality, as what was really a large cistern actually does exist underneath the Opera House in real life, and is still used to train firefighters to swim in the dark today. No Phantom, sadly, to my knowledge. Just like the novel's Phantom, this one has a sick organ down here that he loves to play under light of this chandelier, probably a reference to that other chandelier. The Phantom gives his backstory very willingly, which is he lives here to hide his hideous face like the original, and unmasks himself just like he does to Christine in that novel.
The Phantom of the Opera!
This music cue is also pretty reminiscent of a certain Broadway music cue.
I mean, you're no Brad Pitt or anything, but you're okay.
Turns out the only mirror he's ever had is a funhouse mirror, and when he leaves, he only wears the mask. Poor Steve Trilby is like, fine. But then they find out he's the Phantom from the 70s, but as suspected, he is not the one sabotaging the talent show.
And those ridiculous outfits the people wore. You know, the little neck scarf thingies and the mini skirts and... Oh.
Another scream leads them back to the stage, the horrifying sight of someone hanging, another reference to LaRue's novel where the body of someone murdered by the Phantom is found hanging. In this case, thankfully, it's just Paul Dini with a trick gone wrong though, the harness being part of his disappearing trick. The Phantom shoved him off the catwalk. Still up there, he sets fire to the Opera House, which the boys put out while Fred chases. With help from Steve, they stop him and unmask Mel, the owner. I love that, like in Camp Scare that I covered before, the melody of the music score at Mystery Incorporated for when a mystery is solved is incorporated into the score here by the shared composer again for brand synchronicity. Mel trying to get some insurance as he pretty much spelled out prior. Yet again, however, he is not the real or at least only Phantom, just capitalizing off him, as the real deal shuts off the lights, giving one more ominous warning that Christine must win. Brick is suspiciously sneaking around meanwhile as the boys try to audition again. Thelma notices him clearly hiding something as he walks away. Finding the sound room has a mic still on that would be heard on stage. But with 2,000 hours of footage to look through, Thelma's gonna miss that cool soap diamond. The big night of the finale is here at last, and fun little note, you can see Brad Adams from the movie Mask of the Blue Falcon, the movie just before this. Brick of course hypes up the Phantom before introducing the 3 final acts, Chrissy coming first to perform her big number again one final time. Just as Emma is about to have her violin destroyed by the Phantom, Fafney catch him, and with accidental help from the boys, catch him again. Turns out it's Chrissy's dad. Makes sense. The assistant director Dewey suspiciously tells Brick Fafney are about to go on when the boys notice he smells like lemons, which he says is the hand sanitizer. Fafney begin their performance and Dewey can't be found, so the boys pop off to check his office to confirm what they hear in the earpiece, that he's talking about the soap diamond on display around the corner. Velma found her own proof that Dewey is totally also the Phantom, had the police focused on here for it, with plans to steal the diamond during the show. They catch him in the act, not even a mask, headset exposed, and he just trips over his cape, the diamond flying through the air and saved by Scooby. He hops in his car and gives an obvious Cruella de Vil reference as he tries to run them down, getting the diamond back and speeding off. Oh so talented Scooby, however, gets it back and lands in the mystery machine as Dewey crashes into his worst nightmare. Cruella doesn't give up though, and as they race upward, he knocks them to the edge, then jumps inside the van with a weapon. Outside, he reveals he wants the diamond for his treasure of cleanliness-themed treasures, alongside the Ammonia Lisa, the Mona Lisa obviously, and the Sponge of Turin, obviously the Shroud of Turin. But Fred tosses the diamond below, and Dewey dives after without thinking, right into the garbage. At least he has the diamond? Nah, Fred switched him. Just in time for the police. Back at the show, Emma totally kills it. Surprisingly, not only does Chrissy lose, Fafney and Emma tie, which means a tie-breaking performance Fafney aren't back for yet. Brick has the police escort pick the gang up to rush them back, while Velma explains Dewey edited a video loop to make it appear he vanished on camera. But she also has one other reveal. Emma is eating it up again at the show, and Fafney only just barely make it to the Opera House, confirming they've now caught 3 Phantoms, 4 counting Steve. Bad news though, they have to perform a different song, but Daphne remembers she wrote lyrics to Fred's melody, so they get set.
I've tried to tell it many times, but my nerves got in the way. Well, I can't wait another night to say what I must say. I love you. I love you. I love you. Yes, I do.
And with Daphne's big confession, they finally give us the Fraffney kiss. Deliciously animated, like wow, so many frames. Daphne sees Emma and remembers how much her family needs the money, unlike them though. So she and Fred tell some shitty jokes to throw the competition for her. Emma wins and Rick congratulates Fraffney on at least catching definitely every last phantom for sure. Or so he hopes they think. Velma prepares her big reveal. One more phantom happens to be Brick, who dashes away into the police as he explains he needed to do it for the ratings.
Is anyone else the Phantom? Show of hands. Yeah, looks like we got them all.
Steve then jumps on stage to finish out the show, and it seems he might just have a new job. After, the credits actually give us more movie as the boy sees Steve is officially the new host on TV while Brick goes to prison, while Daphne channels her inner me and starts overthinking what happened between she and Fred. However, Fred's on the same channel overthinking too, so they both finally try to say it.
Fred, I like...
Oh my gosh! Have you heard about this? Some kind of monster's been spotted at Goose Lake. It's just a few miles from here.
Wow,
We should definitely look into that.
I guess a Scooby's work is never done, and that's that. That's Scooby-Doo stage fright. First, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised on this watch with just how much it really does pull from Gaston Leroux's Phantom, and of course subsequent adaptations. I was expecting some references, but it really does try to sort of adapt the story itself with a Scooby twist in a way, cleverly changing or updating names, taking direct visual cues or settings, and definitely delivering a Phantom kind of mystery. I love the Phantom of the Opera, especially the Lon Chaney movie. I have this recent figure of him right here actually, so it's fun to see a Scooby-verse take that's actually doing its best to adapt it without being a literal direct adaptation itself. And of course, making it a talent show instead of an actual opera now updates it as well. Chrissy's song is so stupid and funny, I get why it's such a meme. She's really iconic, and seeing Fraffney perform is really fun as well. I love both songs they get, I wish those were on Spotify too, and the animation on those scenes is fantastic. You can tell the movie is really trying to make those scenes memorable and magic for fans that have wanted this kind of attention on these two for so long. Between this and Mystery Incorporated, which had already ended by the release of this and was huge on Fraffney, the girls were really eating during this era after just crumbs before. Daphne's desperation throughout is really relatable, she's so me. I remember making so many posts on Tumblr of this movie and specifically her scenes in 2013 because I was obsessed, and they did and sometimes still do numbers. Now, what do we think about the Phantoms? I feel like there's a few too many, like one additional Phantom, sure, maybe two, but you kind of lose count at how many there are in this eventually. It's almost to the point of overdoing it. The movie has a Phantom Menace problem. I think I prefer it when it's a little more simple. Here it's like the movie has a lot of coffee and is trying to do everything. I did think Steve was funny. His recurring issue with mirrors made me laugh, like the blood joke. The running joke of having to find ways to sneak Scooby into a no-dog zone is cute, I guess. He and Shaggy needed something to do. Wayne Brady, resident pansexual, is fun. I'm sure Stage Fright is an upgrade over Food Fight. Would I call this one of my favorite Scooby movies? Probably not. It's not up there with Camp Scare, but it's definitely not bad, especially if you like Phantom. It's a fun movie if you give in to the other kind of camp and have fun with it. It's a little silly, it's a little overdramatic, it has moments of the Phantom actually being creepy with decent atmosphere, so know what you're getting into and it's a good time. I have definitely watched harder Scooby-Doo TV movies to get through. The music score is as solid as these songs, and I again love the callbacks to Mystery Incorporated score. The animation is consistently good here like this entire era. There aren't any bad performances between the gang or celebrity guest voices. It's a pretty solid entry if not top tier. Definitely memorable. I can see why so many people really wanted a video on it. And I mean so many people, so many comments wanted this. That's why we're here, because otherwise I probably would not make this video. And I think the video is done, so let's wrap it up. This was fun to revisit. What do you think about Scooby-Doo Stage Fright? Do you love the Fraffney, or is this a ship you wish would get less focused these days? Do you love the amount of phantoms and red herrings in the movie? Do you like how it utilized aspects of LaRue's Phantom story in a modern setting? Do you love the meme song? Let me know all of that and more. Let's talk about this one in the comments. I know there's probably something I left out worth getting into together. I definitely did not know what to do next, so doing what everyone wanted to see seemed like the next best thing. I don't do the take request thing, there's too much Scooby media for that and my heart wouldn't be in it, but if it's overwhelming, I can't really deny the people. Hopefully you got something out of it, anything at all that made it worth it. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more little videos on YouTube, follow me on socials if you want updates on if I'm crying or not, etc. I'll see you next time in Scooby-Topia. Bye!